You'll find them on ancient hunting tracks in the mountains, or like this beautiful version here, on man-made forest trails. But switchbacks can form quite a test. So today we're going to be looking to get you around them as quickly and as smoothly as possible. Now there are 5 fundamentals when it comes to uphill switchbacks: body position, gearing, cadence, line choice, and of course braking. And they all apply in different measures when it comes to uphill switchbacks. So we're going to be looking at different switchbacks and how to apply those techniques in each one. Wow, look at this corner. It really is a beauty, but still all the fundamentals apply to this corner as they would to any uphill switchback. First up, body position. Now, because there's a load of support on the exit of this corner, you don't really need to worry so much as you would on a flat uphill switchback. And basically you're attacking the outside of the corner without any worries about tipping over. When it comes to gearing, you need to anticipate what the exit of the corner is going to be like, and you can easily see that because it's right next to you as you're coming into the switchback. Now obviously you're going to be spinning a lot more when you're coming into the corner because the exit is quite likely going to be a little bit steeper than your entry to the corner. Now line choice on an uphill switchback such as this is basically like you would tackle a downhill berm, so it's not really critical that you need to find your way around it as you would on a flat switchback. So as I mentioned earlier, you need to attack a corner like this, but still give yourself a little bit of space to make sure you have a nice arc to the corner. Just keep it smooth all the way around and out in one motion. Just pull your way around it. So how do you tackle braking in a corner like this? Well, because it's so sharp, many might think that you need to be hard on the brakes, but that's simply not true. Any braking should be done before the corner, as in any other corner. However, when you're going around the corner, you should actually be feathering the brake simply to control the motor. Now, I say that because on an e-bike, there's a little bit of residual power when you kind of approach the corner. So it'll be stored energy, which will want to come through the cranks as you're going through the corner. So you need to feather that brake just as a safety measure if it doesn't push through too quickly. But if you get it right, you approach in the right cadence and you simply attack it, and you can actually pedal through a corner like this, carrying your speed out and onto the next part of the trail. A lot of the time on switchbacks, you get a lot of material accumulating, particularly on the apex of the corner from rain washing rocks down the hill. Now you need to be really careful in situations like this, especially when it comes to all those fundamental things we talked about earlier, such as body position. Now, you can't go all guns blazing on loose rocks in an uphill switchback, so you need to be far more considered with your body position, and so a little bit more of an upright position compared to that leaned over attack the berm option which we looked at earlier. When it comes to cadence and gearing, again, you need to be really careful that your cadence is smooth on an uphill switchback like this when there's rocks there. You don't have any sudden movements or jerks through the back wheel because they're simply going to spin out on those loose rocks. When it comes to the gearing and the motor, remember there's going to be some reserved energy in your e-bike motor that'll want to push you through the corner. So again, when it comes to braking, feather that back brake. You don't need to be using the front brake because it's simply going to push you over the edge of these little stones. And yeah, of course, what I mentioned earlier about anticipating the exit of the corner. Make sure you're in the right gear so you can maintain that momentum onwards and up the trail. Flat uphill switchbacks, a little bit boring, but you can blame the track builder for that. When it comes to body position, you can have a more upright technique when it comes to flat corners like this, simply because there is nothing for you to lean into. Gearing and cadence, the same as before. You need to anticipate what's ahead on the exit of the corner. As I said, you can see that because it's right next to you as you come into it. Smooth cadence through the corner, and when it comes to braking, avoid using the front brake, because when these conditions are wet, then there'll be a tendency for that front wheel to wash out if you give it too much. A few things to note on flat uphill switchbacks. First is line choice. Don't be over concerned with the line choice. Focus more on the flow around the corner, a nice smooth arc to get you round and up the hill. Secondly is be careful of your inside pedal, because a lot of the time there might be some stumps or some roots or rocks on the inside, or simply the track has worn a groove, so it's quite easy for you to catch your pedal as you're pedaling around the corner. As with anything in life, switchbacks also come in a variety of shapes and sizes. And this example is super steep, super tight, super loose surface. So there's loads of techniques to apply in a situation like this. First of all, don't be scared that your entry speed is going to be much slower than normal, even if you're in turbo mode. But what you're trying to do is to centralize the weight on your bike. So there's good grip on the rear tire, but also you really need to be careful that front wheel's not lifting into the air. So when you get to the apex of the corner, it'll try to push you towards the outside, and no doubt it'll have you back down the bank in an instant. So what about gearing? Well, it's quite likely you're going to be in the lowest gear in the highest power, and you're going to be spinning as quickly as possible, but no doubt it will get down to quite a slow snail's pace as you reach the apex of the corner. When it comes to line choice, you need to give yourself as much space as possible as you're trying to get round the tight part of the turn, because if you hit the inside, you'll simply hit the steep part and you'll spin out. Now you'll notice that when I'm climbing up this bank, and it really is quite acute, that my seat dropper is in the low position. That means I can get the center of gravity as low as possible, and I get my bum on the front of that saddle to kind of balance that body weight front and rear, so I can shift my weight really easily. If the seat's at its maximum position, it's really much more difficult for you to move around on the bike. So steep banks, seat dropper down, easy gear, keep spinning, flowing up the hill. And finally, the ultimate example of an uphill switchback. So it has all the elements. It is super technical, it is steep, it is tight, and it is relentless. So when it comes to all the elements which we talked about earlier, the fundamentals, body position, well, you can forget about it. This is an arm wrestle to get round the corner, but all the other things are in place. Gearing, it's absolutely critical you get in the right gear on the approach to this corner so you can accelerate up through this switchback because of the steepness of the terrain. Cadence, again, like I mentioned earlier, keep it smooth, keep those pedals spinning so that you're maintaining your momentum. There's no sudden jerks when it comes to the power transfer through the rear tire. Braking, well, it's quite clear from what you can see here. There's not going to be any braking done in this corner. Any braking might be done in the approach to the corner, but that's quite unlikely because you're going to try to be driving up around this corner as fast as possible. And finally, and most critically, line choice. Where do you go in a massive route like that? Well, there's two different approaches to this particular example at least. I can see a nice smooth line round the outside which avoids all these collisions on the ground because each of them is going to be fighting with the back and the front wheel as you get up the hill. The second option is actually to do the trials technique which we covered on the downhill switchbacks, and on a corner like this you're going to be looking at coming into the corner, bouncing the back round and squaring that corner off. But secondly, and more considered, is the front wheel hop, which actually gives you more time to line up the terrain ahead and then gather yourself before driving up the hill. So that's it for uphill trail switchbacks, and they really are quite a satisfying trail skill to master. So get out there, try different shapes and sizes and gradients, but critically, try to get the flow right around each and every corner. So there you go. If you want to see more trail skills, there's one on how to plan a climb over here. And if you want to see how to tackle downhill switchbacks, we've got a video which we did just down here. Please let us know your comments below and any questions you have. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video, and if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe.